Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
I've never seen Donovan this early before. It's 8:30. I'm meant to be marking trails, and Donovan's here to do a voxy. And we're having a disagreement.
I read about a guy who was allergic to seeing two 7 o'clocks within a 24-hour period. I think I have that.
Well, anyway.
Anyway, we are actually having a little bit of a disagreement because, as we promised last week, we rode two very, very interesting motorcycles. Not quite the same, but sort of similar in a way, comparable. How's that for a good word?
Yeah.
What we did is we took a BMW R18. Now, you know the R18, it's the sort of retro sort of cruiser BMW, but more so the Transcontinental, which is not just the cruiser BMW, but the cruiser BMW Deluxe, the
with
luxury
everything.
Version, the prestigious one. It's got all the TV screens and speakers and all that beautiful stuff on it. And we took it out with a Harley-Davidson Road King.
The only thing missing on the BMW is a coffee machine, realistically.
Yeah, no, but it's got panniers and stuff, so you can actually just
Put
install
coffee
one.
machine inside there.
I would.
okay.
I'd install a coffee machine, and then when you're all stuck on the side of the road waiting for his Harley, then we'll just.
We'll talk about this. We'll discuss this.
So now, Harley Davidson Road King. It's not. It's a decent Harley. It's the 114 more so. But it's not quite in the same as a Transcontinental because this is more kind of, I think it's a
Donovan, it's more than decent. Don't even go
but
down
okay,
there. We're
but
going to start now.
It doesn't have
we
the
used
cinema.
to be friends after this.
It doesn't have the cinema screen. It doesn't have all the fancy speakers
Doesn't
and all
need
that. It's yes, okay, sure.
All right, so come on now, put forward your argument.
Okay. I like that BMW. I know this sounds weird, okay? For some reason, when I got on the BMW and I started it and I revved it, remember it's got an 1802cc air and oil cooled motor. It's got those
engine.
giant boxer pots sticking out.
Yeah.
I believe they create more of a Harley Davidson vibe than a Harley Davidson twin motor.
Just wipe your mouth there a little bit, please. Come, okay, continue.
No, it's okay because you start it and it goes.
It does move. It's actually quite cool, and especially in rock and roll.
Yeah,
You've
put
got
it
all
in
the
rock
ride
mode.
settings.
In rock mode is technically sport mode on this thing, but you put it in rock mode and you leave it idling. You climb off the bike, you leave it there idling, and it goes.
You can actually see it standing. You're worried it's going to fall off the
whole
side
thing.
stand.
It's sort of moving like this,
Yeah.
which is, I think, a very kind of Harley Davidson thing. I mean, those are Harleys. You know, they move and they shake and they're
BMW.
alive.
BMW.
Except this is a BMW,
Yes.
but it's more alive than your Harley Davidson.
Perhaps. Carry on.
Come on now. Okay, so
Donovan, I'm gonna stop everybody right there.
Yes, okay.
So your BMW R18.
Yes.
It's big and bold. It's got a big fairing. It's got a TV screen. It's got panniers. It's got this. It's got that.
Everything except a coffee maker.
Is it a cruiser?
Well, kinda.
Okay. So what is the definition of a cruiser or a chopper, guys? The older, more intelligent people among us will come to understand this. A cruiser is. What's that famous movie that Peter Fonda was in? You climb aboard, you got the ape hanger bars, the wind in your hair, and away you go. Uncomplicated.
Yes.
That is what the Road King brings to the party.
Well, with its big screen and its panniers. Well,
It had a big screen.
I did not see Peter Fonda with a big screen and panniers on the back and all of that.
It actually wasn't such a big
control.
screen. In my opinion, the screen didn't work at all.
Well, to
listen,
be honest with you, we're sharing this because, okay, we both had a bit of a problem. So you said the screen, you know, he doesn't have a big fairing and all that on his cheap little Harley Davidson, but he does have a one big sort of shielded screen.
Yeah.
The BMW has all the fairings there, plus a screen. The screen worked very well, keeps all the wind out of your face. Even at speed, you can ride with your visor up. Small problem, this is more particularly for me, is that visor sits, you know, the edge of the visor, the screen, sits directly in your eye line like this. So you're riding along and the actual sort of screen itself, the top of the screen. So you're either kind of having to kind of lift your head up to see over it, or I'm kind of ducking down to see under it. And that one,
it wasn't adjustable?
No, it was not adjustable.
Oh, on the Harley, I could look over the screen. Just saying.
Just say.
Yeah, just saying. Could look over. There was no interruption in my line of vision.
Okay, so tell me what you liked about that Harley Davidson over the BMW.
All right, there's three or four things about the Harley that I really, really enjoyed. The first is the ease of climbing on and climbing off, and bum relative to leg height. It doesn't feel like a big monolithic bike. It's not as wide as the BMW. In my opinion, the BMW is a very big motorcycle. It's big, and it can be. I'm a big guy, but it can be kind of intimidating in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, you've all heard often when we do TV shoots and shots for the magazine, we do U-turns quite often because you go back, you want to get that perfect shot, etc., etc. I found the Harley a lot easier to maneuver around. modern motorcycles with too much technology, I personally find distracting. I understand that it is the way forward and that all the techie gizmos want that, and that's the way they're going to go forward. This Harley-Davidson, you jump on, it's got 2 rider modes. It's got rain and sport. That's it, finished and clear. At the click of a button, you turn on the key, you hit the starter button, you put it into gear, and off you go. What's the procedure for riding the BMW, Donovan?
Well, you put the fob in your pocket, you click start, and it starts.
And what mode do you put it in?
A nice one.
Okay. How many choices do you have? 11. and I think that's the crux of the matter.
Okay, so now
I like simple.
Okay, you like simple. So simple motorcycle for a simple man. But however, okay, so remember, these are not the same motorcycles. Where this is now simple and easygoing versus quite sort of complicated. But something I do kind of like, and I mean, I know not everybody likes this. When you're motorcycling, you kind of just want to be out and away from everything. So I connected this BMW to my phone.
I didn't.
And I had there we go. See, first problem. And I had my playlist playing. My music I like.
I listened to the exhaust pipes.
Now the most fun is after we were finished shooting this, we were in Cullinan. Glenn and his crew went back to Kempton Park. I went back to Harley-Davidson, up the freeway, up the N14. A really, really dull, boring freeway. Nothing exciting about it. However, on this thing, I was parking there, very comfortable.
Yep.
Now, the original R18 was not that comfortable. We all sort of criticized it. This bike is different. It's very comfortable, lovely seats. The floorboards are very nice. I even quite like it's got a heel up change. So like on the old school bikes where it's got like 2 gear levers. To change down, you hit your toe. To change up, you use your heel. I like that, actually. I find it easier than sort of digging in. But
so,
more
Don, I'm going to interrupt you again.
Yeah?
We're good at interrupting each other. I understand that part of it. I do understand. Once you're on the freeway, and you get the wind going through your hair, and you open that throttle, it's magnificent.
Yes.
It's everything in between that I didn't really enjoy much.
Yeah, but okay, you're riding a giant touring motorcycle. This is for touring.
It is.
So, right, I'm going to be doing my 800 kilometers for the day. The vast majority of that is going to be spent on open roads going. And I had my phone connected, I had navigation going, I had speakers going, and I was singing Born to Be Wild very, very loudly to myself.
On a BMW?
On a BMW, yes.
So, guys, I think what Donovan's trying to get it around to, what he's trying to justify in his mind here, we were out to test 2 cruisers. A cruiser to me is raw motorcycle. That's the beauty of a Harley-Davidson. And don't get me wrong, they do have spaceships like you were riding.
Yes.
Let's not forget about that. And we've done a few of them in the past.
Okay, that road glide.
Yeah, the road glides and the engines are getting bigger and bigger. This to me was great because it was just so simple and easy and lacquer. You push one button. If it rains, you push the button to slow it down a bit. If it's sunny, you put into sports mode, and you literally open the throttle. And the sound from the pipes, that bloop, 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 bloop that the Harley makes, they cannot duplicate that with any other motorcycle.
I'm going to suggest that the R18 is slightly better. But no, and I tell you, that boxer motor has got more life in it. You know what I mean by life? It feels alive. It feels more alive.
Well, let's talk about capacities. Yours is an 1800.
It's an 1802.
Yeah.
Yours is the 114. Okay, so it's a 114 cubic inch. There's a 1117 is the new one.
Yes. I prefer the 114.
I prefer the 117 because it's faster. However, I am in a bit of trouble here. So mine is an 1802 cc air cooled boxer. Mm-hmm. Yours is an 1868 cc. So a whole 66 cc's more.
Yeah.
And of your V-twin motor. Mine produces 91 horsepower, which is, it's a cruiser. They do that. Yours produces 95, which I'm a bit annoyed about. But don't worry about it. That BMW produces, and this is the important part, 162 Newton meters of torque, which is a ton of torque. And that
is impressive.
And that is where these bikes live.
He's all torque. Torque is impressive.
And I was extremely happy to hear that I had a whole 162 Newton meters of torque until I looked up the Harley-Davidson and saw that it had 166.
You see, we should play
which did annoy me quite.
What's the weight, Donovan?
So the weight, your Harley-Davidson weighs 366 kilograms.
Which is no lightweight.
With
me in the saddle, it's 367 kilograms.
Jupiter's moons that weighs less than that. However, Jupiter itself weighs just as much as the BMW. It's 432 kilograms.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there are cars out on the market that weigh less than that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, okay, and I know you. Okay, so Glenn, I'm gonna use background here.
Yes.
You're used to mostly lightweight sort of dirt
Yes.
bikes. That's always been kind
Yeah.
of you. You do ride all the on-road
I
bikes.
do, honestly, I prefer smaller motorcycles.
Yes,
Finished
but
and clear.
you do.
So if you ask me for a naked, I would choose a Honda Hornet over an 1100 something. I would.
That's true.
That's me.
Whereas I'm quite used to sort of heaviness.
Yeah.
And honestly, now I know this bike weighs 432 kilograms, but it sounds worse than it is. Most of that is very low down. And nowadays, and I mean, I'll say this about Harley-Davidson, it's exactly the same. They've got those bikes so beautifully balanced.
Yeah.
That even though it weighs a ton, you don't quite, it doesn't quite translate into actual sort of you having to suckle with this bike.
Correct.
However, I will say that the BMW was a lot more of a suckle than the Harley-Davidson.
But I didn't mind. To me, it just feels
Yeah.
really big. But Don, you know, so now we've had a lot of tongue-in-cheek conversation here. At the end of the day, if all motorcycles were exactly the same, wouldn't life be so boring?
That would be very dull.
So you lean towards the BMW, I lean
do.
towards the Harley. They are great choices. I'm going to come back to the first question I asked you.
Yeah.
This was a cruiser
Was it?
shootout. So isn't your BMW more in the range of something like Honda's Goldwing? And my Harley is more in the range of a Harley.
Well, here's the thing. They're not. We did say they're not identical motorcycles. They're two. So we do have a cruising sort of tourer,
Yeah.
as it were. You've got more of a cruising sort of semi-tourer because it does
Yes.
have baggage, does have a
Yeah.
screen, but it is a lot more simpler. You're a lot more sort of connected to the environment.
You're a lot more
Where I'm
comfortable.
singing "Born to Be Wild" very, very loudly at the top of my voice.
I'm listening to the exhaust pipes.
Okay, just a little heads up. So the BMW came to us from our friends at BMW East Rand.
Yep.
This one was not, in fact, new. They're around 400,000 Rand. This one was 249,000 Rand.
Well, they've been discontinued. If you can find a new one.
This is a little sort of
They're around
sore
400
point
Rand.
on my side. Apparently, I prefer the BMW, but the general public out there does not. Hence not the R18, just the Transcontinental has been discontinued. So go and get this one. It's got 4,600 kilometers. It's 249,000 Rand.
And it's immaculate.
New
It's got
there around
every,
400.
like
It's
I
brilliant.
said, it's got every bell and
brilliant.
whistle that a geek could possibly want.
Whereas at the Harley-Davidson, also about 2 years old, it's last year's model. It's got 5,000 kilometers on the clock. New, they're 423,000 Rand.
Yeah.
So even this is more pricey than the BMW was, and this used one is now 359,950 Rand. That's from Harley-Davidson Gold Rand.
So it's less bike for your money, but in my opinion, it's a nicer
It's a
bike to
nicer
ride.
bike, even though it costs 100,000 Rand more. That exact bike.
Yeah.
Mine's been discontinued, and his is really, really expensive.
Yeah, if I was in that, then I'd still choose the Harley.
Okay.
Sorry for you.
There we go.
But,
All right, there we go.
But both in their own rights, guys, don't knock them off. Go and ride them both. Decide what you want. At that level, the sky's the limit.
Exactly. Okay, so we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Coming back after the break, we've got a lot more good stuff for you. See you now. Hey, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, a little bit of an interesting bit about riding. Now, if you're like me, you're kind of interested in the way your motorcycle works, how to make it work better, things you can do, those kind of things. Tips, a little bit of like science lessons and that kind of thing. Now, the tip today, if you're an off-road rider, you probably already know this one. If that's the case, then you can look around the room smugly at all your mates and go, yeah, don't worry, I knew that already. Of course you can. If you're a road rider, you've probably never heard this before. If you're an adventure rider, you might have seen this on a course or two, in which case join the off-road riders in some smugness. And what the lesson today is about is foot pegs. When to use foot pegs. Now obviously when you need to rest your feet, you put them on the foot peg, okay, that's fine. But I'm talking more about when to put pressure on foot pegs. Now if you're a road rider or someone who's never really done biking, what might sound like sense is that if a bike is leaning through a corner, it might make sense to push the inside foot peg, right? Because you know, it kind of helps the bike lean. That sounds like sense, it really does. Unfortunately, the thing is, you couldn't do anything worse than actually that. The trick to actually do is to push on the outside foot peg. It's called weighting the outside foot peg. Now, that sounds like an absolute load of garbage. How the hell does that work? How does that help anything? But let's take a look at something interesting. Right, as you might have observed, this is a tire. In fact, this is a Dunlop D606. It's not actually an off-road, or it's not a motocross tire. It's an adventure tire, but a very kind of dirt roady adventure tire. Ferrari's going to give it a try very, very soon. I'm very excited about that. But for now, I'm using this just to illustrate something interesting. Now, we said it sounds like logic that if you push on the inside foot peg, it'll help the bike lean in. In fact, it doesn't really help at all. The handlebars are what makes the bike lean, not the foot pegs. But more so, it does something very detrimental. Have a look over here. So I'm leaning the bike over. Now, I'm going to use my hand to illustrate pushing down on the inside by pushing on the inside of the tire. Watch here. I'll do that again. Push on the inside. See that? It pushes the tire outwards. But what happens if you push down on the outside foot peg? Well, take a look here. So the bike's leaned over, you push down on the outside. See what it does? It actually pushes the tire kind of into the ground. It rolls the tire into the ground. So if you push on the inside foot peg, you lose traction. If you push down the outside foot peg, you gain traction. Now again, this works mostly in off-road circles, slower speeds, lighter motorbikes, it's more prominent. But you'll find the likes of MotoGP riders do use it. In fact, when you see them hanging off the side of their motorbikes like maniacs, you'll find that the outside, either their foot is on the foot peg or their knee is dug into the tank. And that's how they're holding on. That's where their pressure is, on the outside, pushing down for more traction. Whereas adventure riders and off-road riders, they use the outside foot peg, they push down on that, they get more traction. So there we go. The trick to getting more traction with your foot peg, don't push down on the inside, push down on the outside. There we have it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, a bit of interesting news. We're going to start with Kawasaki. You know them as the slightly mad motorcycle manufacturer. But however, the world knows Kawasaki as Kawasaki Heavy Industries. They do everything from spaceships to trains to everything like that.
Ships, propellers, massive, bigger than the house.
Things,
amazing
huge
stuff.
Things. I mean, I think motorcycling is like a little sort of sideline hobby for that company because they really are big. Now, they are doing something else. They built or they're going to build, or they're looking at building, or they're suggesting that they might in fact build a horse. In fact, it's a robot horse called the Corleo. Corleo.
Sounds Italian.
Corleo.
Or Spanish.
Or Spanish or
Riding
something like
through
that.
the Andes.
Although Leo's lion, isn't it? Called Leo. So it's a cord something. It's a robotic horse.
Yeah.
Although I think it looks a bit more like a wolf, quite frankly. It's a bit smaller and all that. But I mean, how's that for interesting? They brought the dire wolf out of extinction, only for it to almost immediately be replaced by a robot.
Yeah, it's like that. Crazy
Welcome
stuff.
dire wolves.
But guys, isn't innovation
It's
cool?
amazing.
It is quite amazing.
They have done, so none of this that you're seeing is real. It's all CGI.
Yep.
They have not in fact built it. This is just a suggestion. But I mean, why not? I mean, you got Tesla and their robot is walking around making pancakes or whatever else.
Honda built that little man, remember that?
I know.
And we actually saw him here at a launch,
So I mean, the difference, So the difference between, I mean, having a robot like Tesla's who can make pancakes out of horses should be quite easy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was thinking about fun stuff like Roof of Africa.
Yeah.
You imagine Wade Young trying to get up one of those passes, you know, on a motorbike, and you come trotting past on your robot horse. Interesting stuff. But
they do that anyway on the donkeys. So
I know, exactly. But now you're going to have a robot horse. So
genuine donkeys.
It's powered by a 150cc hydrogen engine, so it's not all electrical. And it's more kind of, what is all of this?
Well, do you know what I find interesting? Both Suzuki and Kawasaki have said rather than exploring electrical options, they're looking at hydrogen.
Hydrogen, it's tricky though, because to try and kind of store enough hydrogen. I mean, there was a company who took a car and tried to convert it to hydrogen. And they found that in order to carry enough hydrogen to cover the same mileage as their fuel tank, the petrol tank, they had to take the back seats out and the boot. They had to fill the boot and the back seats with just tank for hydrogen.
But with the current price of petrol, I don't care. Load me up, baby.
Exactly. So it is a mileage problem. What I do think about this Corleo, it looks very similar to riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You sit on it, it's got a dash, the controls are kind of similar-ish. Of course, it doesn't have wheels, so all of that kind of stuff. But kind of interesting. I mean, why
Sci-fi.
not? And it's
Sci-fi. a lot of the things we see are coming from the sci-fi realms.
Yeah.
So it's quite amazing. It would be something very cool. Now, Don, you mentioned the Roof of Africa a little bit earlier.
Roof of Africa. So something interesting there is, okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Roof of Africa happened in November.
Yeah.
Well, now it's April, and we can finally tell you who actually won it.
They published the findings. So I'm gonna run through just a little price here. I haven't had much of a look at it. I'm gonna have to sit down and read through the whole thing. Don,
And it's now
basically
been
what
5
happened.
months of findings, and yeah.
What happened with last year's roof, and it was a bit of a shame. It just seemed like the whole recipe, nothing worked together, and it was everything seemed very discombobulated and disjointed, and it left a lot of people, and possibly rightfully so, very unhappy, us included. I mean, the Roof of Africa is one of those real iconic events.
Yeah.
So just in a nutshell, and we're not going to go into great detail, what I'm going to do, I will somehow save the results now, and I'll post them up on the Dirt and Trail magazine website, and we'll put them onto our Hard Enduro page as well. We'll put that up. You can go and read it all at your leisure.
Yeah.
But the organizers have been hit with a hefty fine.
They have.
It's not a state secret. It's up on the MSA
But
site.
I mean,
You can
okay,
go and
let's
look at it yourself.
hopefully, I mean, what everybody wants is that the organizers learn from all of this.
Yeah,
and
I think the bottom line is,
then they
and you
do
and I
better.
both, we have to do better.
Yeah.
That's what life is
No,
about.
we want the
Improve,
roof to be better.
go forward.
So,
Hard
just
enduro
by the way,
is a thing.
who won it?
The results for gold stand like this. First place, Wade Young, absolutely brilliant.
On the
He's a
gas.
classic. Yeah. Travis Teasdale, James Moore, Brendan Smith, Matthew Stevens, top
we go.
5. That's where we stand.
So
Yeah.
for now, I'm going to move away from off-road, more to on-road, more to very much on-road. BMW has unveiled the new R1300R. Now, we already knew about the 1300 GS. It's got their new 1300 motor that we did like very much.
Yep.
And obviously, they're going to take their motor and use it in all their other sort of platforms. Okay, so the R1300R. Now, R at the beginning of a BMW means boxer, and R at the end of the name means naked. So it's a naked sports bike, and I think it's going to work very, very well with the 1300 motor, because the 1300 motor is sportier. This bike is also going to be, so it's revier, it's lighter, which is just better in every single way.
Yeah.
Obviously, the next will be the RS and RT models, which is the sport tourer and the touring model.
Yeah.
Those are also good. They haven't been unveiled yet, but they are coming soon. More happiness. Ducati. Now, Ducati, as you might know, is owned by the VW Group, which is massive. I mean, they got Bentley, they got Audi, they got everybody. They've also got a Lamborghini.
Yep.
And Lamborghini is the Lamborghini factory is only about 30 kilometers from the Ducati factory, which is in Bologna.
Because you need to remember, they are still Italian.
They are still Italian.
Don't ever forget about that. Yeah. You'll upset them if you tell them otherwise.
Ducati has done some interesting Lamborghini special models. They built a Street Fighter and a Diavolo in Lamborghini, absolutely spectacular. However, now they've built a Panigale V4 Lamborghini model. This is based on the 2025 Panigale V4 that has just come out now. They're building 630 of these things. I mean, look at it, it's utterly spectacular. So this is going to make 218.5 horsepower, 122 newton meters of torque. It's based on the car guys at Ignition will have to forgive me, the Revuelto.
That one.
Yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking
about. It's a type of Lamborghini.
The Ravioli.
The Ravioli.
The Ravioli.
It's based on the Ravioli. Lamborghini.
Italiano.
Not only does it look good, but it's very delicious. Yes.
Yeah.
It's based on that car. It's got special wheels, special paint scheme, lightweight stuff everywhere. In fact, it weighs 185 kilograms. It's 2 kilograms lighter than the standard Panigale, making this the lightest Panigale they've ever made. Other fun stuff, it's got a dry clutch. So you remember in the old days, Ducatis used to have dry clutch, and you used to hear a Ducati come past because it went ka-clunk, 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 ka-clunk with the clutch. They've done away with a lot of that over the last sort of 20 years, but now this one's going to have a dry clutch. So we've got the good old-fashioned ka-clunk, 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 and I'm quite excited for it. If you do want to own one, I suggest you go and book it very quickly. They're probably sold out already, but you're going to have to need a roughly roundabout 1.5 million rand.
Is that all?
Yeah, a little cool 1.5 million rand. We're going to be passing a hat around.
Yes.
So
Well, hang on. If any of you guys buy one, we'd love to ride it.
We'd love to ride it.
Come on now, we look all responsible and grown up.
Or if you buy an R1300R, we'd also love to ride
We'd
that.
love to ride one of those too.
Despite it not being 1.5 million rand, BMW won't let us ride it.
Yeah, we'll have to talk to them nicely. I don't know.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it for this show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to have some more interesting stuff for you next week. We'll see you there.